Hey everybody, welcome back as we're doing another episode of Table Talk. And you know me, I'm the real Josh T. This is Jake. We're JNJtabletop. But this wonderful person in the middle, right in between us, this is Sean from Material Components. Um, Sean is a super awesome dude who is all about tabletop RPGs, and he has a product that you've seen on our channel before if you follow us on YouTube. We did a video on random tables and just basically using random tables to create an adventure, and we used his book to do it. So, Sean, it's great to have you with us. If you want to say hi.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys, and thank you so much for doing that video a while back. I absolutely loved it. It was so cool.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It was a lot of fun. That was I followed the first Kickstarter for like the regular hero book. I was really excited about it, and then when I saw that you had the GM edition coming, that was actually right before I started one of my first. Was it a one shot? It might have. I don't remember what I was DMing, but it was like one of my first DMing things. Like when you were coming out with that, and I remember like I messaged you and I was like, hey, can we get like some of those NPC tables? I think there was like a something with like the shipper or the like the binding where it took a little bit longer, and
Mm.
you were just like absolutely yep, and you posted a screenshot of it online. And I was like awesome, and I was able to use that to create some NPCs and get things going. So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we did have a little bit of a delay in the binding in that second book. So yeah, I was happy to. I think it was just I think I just took a picture of it with my phone. I don't think I even like exported the pages. Probably should
That
have done a little bit more there, but I'm
no
glad you got
that
some use out of them before you got the book in your hands.
oh yeah, no, that was all I needed. So I mean, I've been using that book since before I actually even had the book. It was great. um, and if
So
go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so what inspired you to make products like the GM Edition Hero Book and like what kind of just got you into wanting to do this kind of thing in the first place?
And it really started from just like a desire to own the product myself. Like, so when I first started playing D&D with my friends a couple years ago, I didn't like having like loose notes or like, a character sheet and then a notebook and whatever. I wanted to kind of put it all together. So for a couple years, I was just like making kind of binders for myself out of like those like plastic folio things you could buy from office supply stores and printing off my character sheet and putting it in there and printing off some rules for my class and kind of putting them
Yes.
in there. So I was kind of like making my own hero book, with a copy machine and a binder, and used that for a while and it was fine. And I really liked that because it was in plastic sleeves, you could like write on it with a dry erase marker and wipe it down. And I was like, this is cool. I like that. This is a good setup. But
Yes.
after a couple years, I was like, this thing's kind of ugly and like, they're just like cheap photocopied pages or whatever. And so I started looking around for, a product that was made specifically for this purpose that was like designed for people who play D&D. And unfortunately at the time I couldn't really find one. It didn't really exist. There's a couple other ones now, but at the time it was like there was really no option other than like, oh, you can like make a custom, go to like a custom notebook maker or something like that, and it would have been really expensive.
Yeah.
So once I sort of realized that there was a hole there, it was like, okay, well, what if this actually was a real product that existed? Like, what would I want it to be like? And sort of started thinking about that. And then it was kind of fortuitous. I actually got laid off from my job in 2018, and so I had a couple months to sort of think about it and just decided I think I'm going to take a stab at this. Like, I think there's enough people who would agree with me that this should exist, that maybe we could
Yeah.
do a Kickstarter for it. And luckily, I was correct, and a lot of other people thought it was a good idea as well. So
Mm.
that was kind of where it started from. Was just about like I just want this, and it doesn't exist. Like it should exist. I feel like somebody should have come up with this by now.
That's amazing. Like it's so interesting. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone describe losing their job as fortuitous before. But
Yeah,
a
it
lot
it,
of
it kind
times
of.
a lot
It
of
kind
times
of
people
was
will
because
see that like this is like either a crisis or like an opportunity.
Hmm.
yeah,
And
I was lucky to be like financially secure enough for a couple of months that I didn't need to go back to work right away. So maybe that was the fortuitous part. But
yeah,
yeah, it just allowed me the time to like think about it and start talking to suppliers and stuff like that that I might not have had the energy to do if I was still working like a full-time job. So and I am still working a full, like, I'm back at work now and I have been for a while, but it was a nice little window to be able to like, okay, I'm only going to think about this for a while. And it kind of, it might have happened eventually had I not lost my job, but it probably would have taken longer.
Yeah,
And who knows, maybe it might not have looked like what it does. So I think it was fortuitous.
that's great.
yeah. I mean, I think you saw a need and you met it, and
And
that's sometimes that's the simplest way to approach a situation. Like that's just amazing.
I
Yeah,
feel
well,
like
and
that's
just with
go ahead, go ahead.
with with Kickstarter being what it is, it's like a really easy way to validate your idea where you don't even necessarily have to have the product yet. Just be like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? And everyone's like, yes. And it's like, okay, good. All right, we have something here.
That's great. I feel like creating a product out of like necessity like that, where it's something you weren't trying to come up with something to sell. It was just like, I wish this was a thing. Why don't I make this a thing? That's often where just the best things are created. Um,
I agree
and I
completely.
love stories like that where something that is like objectively not great, losing your job turns into Hero Book and Hero Book GM edition, like, which is obviously enough people liked it to kickstart it the first time, and enough people really loved the product that they backed it again the second time too. Um, so it's great. I love to see that.
Yeah, we had like a ton of return backers from the two campaigns, which was really great to see. So was really really blessed with that for sure.
Nice. Um, so what got you into like tabletop RPGs in the first place? Like, how have you been playing for like a really long time, or
Yeah, I've been playing for a little while now. I kind of first got into it like as a teenager, and I don't even really remember where I had heard about it from. But I was a big video gamer and that kind of thing, and got my hands on a 3.5 player's handbook. I think I got it as a gift or something like that one year, and never played as a teenager because I didn't have anybody to play with. Like I didn't know anybody else that was into D&D. But spent a lot of time reading that book and like thinking about. I remember I made a bunch of characters that never saw the light of day or never saw the table because I was just creating them in isolation. But then, geez, it would have been about like 8 or 9, 10 years ago now. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but decided I wanted to try to get into this properly. So fourth edition was the current edition at the time. So I played a couple years of fourth edition, got some friends together and convinced them to play with me. Started DMing right away just because that's the best way to. If you don't have a DM, it's like, well, somebody's got to do it, so
yeah,
might as well be you. You're the one that's the most keen. You might as well do it. So yeah, got into fourth edition. Did a couple of campaigns in fourth edition with some friends, like played and DM'd, which was great. We switched to fifth edition when that was published. So yeah, it's been about a decade or so now. I would say roughly.
that's great. I love I love when people end up like it's another thing, right? Like, you didn't have people who played the game. Like, I would not have played D&D had it not been for Jake, because I didn't have anyone to play with, and we were gaming together on Destiny on PS4 at the time. So just ended up talking, found out he lived like pretty close to me, and it was like, okay, all right, let's try this out. um, but like, had it not been for that, I never would have played the game, because I wasn't gonna be like, all right, I'll just figure the whole thing out and start DMing and stuff. So but I love to hear the stories of people who are like, you know what, I want to play this, nobody else knows how to, I'm gonna figure it out, I'll do all the hard work, and then you guys just will all try it out together. um,
Yeah. And I guess tabletop RPGs are great for that because there's kind of the natural like shepherd role of being the DM or the game master and being
yeah.
like, yes, come along with me on this adventure. Like you don't have to worry about it. I'll learn all the rules and you just show up.
Yeah, especially if
Kind
you're
of how it
spending.
started for me, but now my players are like super into it, so it's great now. But it's nice that there's like a role that's like, oh, this is perfect. I'll
Yeah,
just learn everything so that nobody else has to learn anything.
especially if you spent all that time reading that book, the
Yeah.
3.5 before you had that group. You're like, I
Yeah,
just one of these days. It's like it's in there in your mind. You know it's
one of
coming
these
at
days,
some point.
the right people will come along, and I'll
Yes.
finally get to act out all my fantasies.
Yeah. That's really cool. Have you ever played anything other than D&D? And if
A
so,
little
like
bit
what are your
here and
favorites?
there. A little bit here and there. D&D is by far the one I've spent the most time on. I am in one group that plays. We play a lot of one shots or a lot of like 2 or 3 session campaigns, and we've kind of jumped around a little bit. So we played a little bit of the Elder Scrolls, the unofficial Elder Scrolls RPG, which was really fun. We've played. We're currently playing a game called Delta Green, which is really fun.
Oh.
It's like a more modern. You're like FBI agents hunting down like weird occult stuff and dealing with supernatural things, and it's really fun. So that other group, I've had sort of a exposure to a lot of other games, but all my like main games are D&D. So it's like by far the one I've played the most. I'm definitely interested in other stuff. Like I've always wanted to play a Star Wars game because I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and I think that would be. I know there's a
Yes.
couple of really good Star Wars systems out there, so
Yes.
I would love to do that. But yeah, D&D has occupied most of my tabletop time for sure.
Same for me. I know for you mentioned Star Wars, so like that's the other one, like Star Wars Saga Edition. That was like I had a very similar experience for Saga Edition that you had for D&D. So like when I was a kid, like my stepdad and my dad both kind of showed me like some of the early stuff. Like we're talking like old school Commodore 64, like Pool of Radiance games and stuff like that. And so, but I had this like gap of like no TTRPGs, and I had just I don't know, it was like out of like a Borders books or something like that, and just wandering through, and I saw the player's handbook for or core rule book, I think it is, for Star Wars Saga Edition. I was like, oh, this is cool, and I was like, oh, I know what this is. Like it was like one of the like this is a Star Wars D&D game. This is great. And so I bought it, not having anybody to play with, but I just studied that thing. I studied that thing. It was great. Uh,
There's a lot of cool Star Wars games out there right now with like the whole Edge of the Empire system, Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, Force and Destiny, and I think they have even some more supplements out now. And then obviously the one that Jake started off in. Um, but I'm Delta, that game that you're talking about.
yeah.
I downloaded
Great.
that. I got it on like a drive-through RPG sale. I don't even know how long ago. And there's one of these days I'm just gonna have to do a scroll through of our random RPGs systems folder because I
There's a
always
lot in there, Josh. I always like uploaded another one. I'm like, okay.
A lot of humble bundles, man. A lot of humble bundles.
oh man I just get excited about stuff like that, and especially like that game looks like a lot of fun, and I
It
used
is, and it's
to.
actually easier than it looks. It looked really complicated, but on the table it plays pretty smoothly.
Very nice. That's my joke for Jake from a long time ago was essentially I've always said I wanted to have this massive bookshelf filled with RPG systems so I
The
could be like,
library, like
yeah, and someday I'll be like, look, you see this? I've played 3 of these.
it's
That's
just
pretty
an
much where I'm
analog
at.
Steam backlog, baby.
Yeah,
It's the
Exactly.
same
That's
same
exactly
thing,
what it
just
is.
in paper instead of bits and
Oh my gosh, that is perfect.
bytes. Well, check out Delta Green for sure. It's a lot of fun. This was the first time I've ever played like a modern. Like I think our game is set in 2018,
Okay.
and so you could just be like, I Google it. Like, you're looking for information on stuff. So it's fun to like play a D&D style game, but with like modern tools. Like, okay, well, we get on a plane and fly there. Like, all right.
Man, it almost has like I don't know why, but it almost reminds me of like Indiana Jones, right? If it was to be like a D&D style adventure, but in well, I guess you can't really call that modern, but more modern than
Sure.
than
You
5e
could
at least.
totally You could totally run that game in like the 1960s or 70s or whenever those movies take place. Like it would be pretty easy to convert.
Might.
Yeah, I think so. Because especially if you're not going to have like crazy computer stuff going on that you have to like figure out weird mechanics for. But
Mm.
even then, I would just crack open my Star Wars Saga edition and look at that stuff. That's the way I would. Yeah, use computer is a skill.
So I got. It's safe to say that D&D is probably your favorite system. How did you feel about fourth edition? Because fourth edition is kind of like you get a mixed bag. It's actually mostly not even a mixed bag. Most people didn't like it. Jake loves it. I've never played it, but I'm curious what your opinion of it was.
Yeah, it is very polarizing. People seem to either really like it or really hate it. I really don't have a whole lot bad to say about fourth edition. It was the edition that was available when I started playing, and so I didn't really know any better. I hadn't played any other games, so I didn't necessarily know, oh, this is so different, because I had read the 3.5 book, but I'd never played it, so I didn't really understand 3.5 or older versions of D&D. So I definitely understand the criticism of it a little bit, but it did a lot of really great things that I wish were in 5th edition, like the bloodied status, for example, was really awesome system where like it was basically as soon as an enemy got to below half their hit points, they were considered bloodied. So you could make a little mark on their token, or like I had like 2-sided tokens that flipped them over and they looked bloodied on the other side. But it didn't do anything in and of itself, but there was a ton of abilities where like your attack does this, and if they're bloodied, it does this, or it's like an extra effect or that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was
so
fantastic.
it was really flexible because like every class had a thing where like, oh, it does extra damage if it's bloodied, or if they're bloodied, you can push them back 10 feet or something like that. Like it was extra stuff. So it added that layer of complexity that I really wish was in 5th edition. So
yeah.
Let the players know they're making progress too.
Yeah, totally.
Like you're like, oh, like I'm getting hurt, but at least so are they.
Yeah, they must
we
be
got
at
this.
least halfway dead, right? Because they're bloodied. So yeah, I think it did a lot of things well. I agree that it's a very different game from 3.5 or 5e, which I think went a little bit back more to the slightly older school style of D&D. So if that's not the type of game you're looking for, like, cool. I understand the criticisms of that, like the way that it kind of broke all your abilities into like at will encounter and daily powers, and it was really like a lot of people were like, it just feels like a video game, like it's like pressing buttons in World of Warcraft, and I'm like, okay, but like World of Warcraft's a pretty good game.
Still
like,
kind of fun, right? Like
yeah, like it's still kind of fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed it in the sense that like that was what we had, and we didn't know that there was a million other systems out there at the time. We were just kind of rolling with it. So we really enjoyed it. I don't know if I would go back and play it now. Like I think 5th edition is a better edition in like across a wide variety of different reasons. So I don't know if I would ever go back and play 4th edition again, but we really enjoyed it. I don't have a lot bad to say about it.
It seems,
I love that answer.
Yeah, it seems like from everything I've heard about it, and I do want to play 4th edition at some point, so I could really have my own opinion. But it seems like 4th edition had to walk so 5th edition could run. Like is
a little,
really...
yeah, for sure. It was almost like the pendulum was over here with 3.5, which was like pretty similar early editions, and then the pendulum like swings really hard to the other side and makes it more like a video game. And I feel like 5th edition is kind of the comeback, right, where they embrace a little bit of the more old school stuff, but they keep some of the more mechanical things of 4th edition that I think like streamlined combat, things like skill challenges in 4th edition were awesome. That they didn't really do as good of a job of explaining in 5th edition. So yeah. I feel like it was a natural like settling point for them. It was a bit of a pullback from the criticism that they got.
Yeah, do you remember D&D Next when they were, I think 4E was, towards the end of its life cycle, and they were really doing a lot of polls and like getting surveys and feedback and stuff. And I remember, I'm sure I have a folder of all that stuff somewhere on Dropbox, and it's like, you could see like the roots of where like the Battle Master fighter came from and like all this stuff. And yeah, I remember seeing that.
Like everyone was a Battle Master fighter in 4th edition, which I kind of loved because I love Battle Master fighters. I love having lots of options and stuff like that. But,
the 4E, my first character I played on 4E was a fighter, and I remember being like, oh, so like after I hit him, I can push him back 10 feet and then move in. I was like, this all of a sudden, because like before that, my only real experience with it was just like, okay, you're over here, I'm over here, and then you just kind of like meet in the middle, and then it's just like you just keep rolling dice and describe. But this, like, it took the tactical look of it and added a cinematic imagination to it in my mind, like where you could kind of
Yes.
like, oh, I'm gonna shift around here, and now we're gonna get combat advantage. Shifting is
Yeah, I
great,
love
and
the shift. The shift to be
yes,
able to move one space without provoking an opportunity attack. I was playing
yeah,
monk in fourth edition, and they had, I can't remember what it was called, but they had a, I think it was an encounter power, maybe a daily power, where you got to like shift like 5 or 6 times. So you could,
yes,
it was and you get to hit each time. So it was just
yep,
like running through a field of enemies, like kicking them in the face and doing cool shit. It was awesome. It was so much fun, and
yeah.
it was everybody at the table's favorite move. Like as soon as I busted out, everyone like, "Oh, here we go!" Like it's on when he uses that move. Like
Yeah,
so it
and
added like really fun like cinematic
it
elements to the combat.
it gave structure to it. And I know Josh and I actually we had lunch earlier today, and we were just talking about like there's some more open-ended systems out there, and that can be fun for a certain style of game. But like when you add a little bit of structure to it, it makes it a lot easier for newer players to wrap their head around.
Hmm.
And it's just like, oh, this is what a shift is, this is what this is, and all of a sudden it's like the Matrix, the numbers just it all makes sense. And you're like, oh yeah. Oh,
Oh
so
yeah.
I can literally bob and weave my way through this and literally punch 6 different goblins in the face. This is amazing. Like, and yeah, you have the hero moment from the hero book.
That's right. Yeah, you did get a lot of like hero moments in fourth edition, like when somebody drops their daily power or whatever. It was always quite cinematic.
I'm all about that then. All right, Jake. You gotta. I can't do it. You're gonna have to DM a 4E game for me.
I would be glad to. I would be glad
I
to.
think I still got my fourth edition DM screen somewhere,
Oh
like
man.
Yes, mine's right behind my 5e screen, just sitting there on the shelf.
just waiting for that moment.
Yep. You know, actually, I we had a tweet the other day, and I was like, you know what? I was like, a lot of people, the stunned condition in 5e is really like that's really strong, right? Like you just don't get a turn, and everybody just beat the ever living snot out of you. Like you're just a sitting duck. I was like, you know what? Dazed was kind of cool because you could get that one action, and if you wanted to move with it, you could. If you wanted to, maybe sustain a power you were working on or whatever the case may be, it kind of gave a little more flexibility. And I feel like I kind of want the dazed condition back in 5e. I kind of
Be
do.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
it's like rungs on a ladder. You're not quite stunned.
It was kind of a
I'm,
polarizing
I'm
tweet.
I'm really curious to
It
see
was.
where they go. Like, I don't know if we'll see a 6E for a number of years just because of the popularity of 5E, and it's selling so well that it would be a pretty big pivot. But I feel like that's the type of thing that like it'll be a much smaller. Like the leap from 4 to 5 will be much bigger than the leap from 5 to 6 or 5 enhanced or 5.5 or whatever they end up calling
Oh
it.
yeah.
I'd like to see a lot of those little tweaks brought back instead of like a complete overhaul.
Yeah, they'll get the simplified version out to start, just like usual. But I think you're right. I don't think it'll be a major change. Like 4E to 5E was probably the biggest change of any of them, or 3.5 to 4.
They're both pretty
Yeah.
big jumps. But it's selling so well
Yeah.
that it would be kind of silly, I think, to just completely be like, everyone has to buy all new everything now. Or it'll be like backwards, like it'll be a new system, but it'll be backwards compatible, or so you can use all the same source books that you've got, or something like that. Like who knows?
Well, edition neutral content is really good. That's why we have
is.
some YouTube videos up for like what was it? When we were doing our creature features and Monster Mash, like
Yeah.
look at the history of the lore of a banshee and and the will-o-wisp and this kind of stuff, and just use old edition stuff. There's great info, especially the tactics section in 4E.
Yes. Oh my god. The monster manual for the edition was amazing.
Oh
So
yes,
good.
yes.
Ah, the good old days.
Mm-hmm. So
So-
are you currently in like how are you currently in a game or running a game?
Yeah, I have two very regular D&D campaigns, 5th edition campaigns that I DM for. So we play those probably usually about twice a month each, so 4 sessions a month of those. I'm in one kind of part-time group as a player in 5th edition that plays once a month, maybe once every 2 months. And then I'm in that other group that we kind of rotate the game. We're playing Delta Green right now, but we played Elder Scrolls. We did a bunch of one-shots and stuff like that. So we did Honey Heist recently, which was a really fun one-shot about bears infiltrate. I think we were infiltrating a honey convention to like steal the honey from the. So yeah, that one rotating group is awesome, and I'm always playing that group rather than DM. So yeah, two games that I DM, kind of, which are kind of my 2 main games, and then 2 kind of part-time games.
Awesome.
Would you say the games are similar, or like do you have like a different style with the different tables that you have?
The 2 games that I play, like I feel like my style of DMing is fairly similar. So I did the big task when I started the first campaign, which I think we are session, I want to say 83 or 84 of that campaign. So we're pretty deep into it. It's been going for a couple of years. When I started that, I did a homebrew world, a homebrew setting, which was a lot of work, but it's been really fun now because I have my other party in that same world. So yeah, the themes of the 2 campaigns are a little bit different. I feel like mechanically they're pretty similar, but the 2 groups, it's 5 people in one group and 5 different people in another group. There's no crossover between the 2 groups. And they're pretty different. So in terms of the characters that they play and the personalities in the group and that kind of thing. So they're different enough, definitely, and they're obviously like doing their stories are different and that kind of thing. So but it feels pretty similarly for me. Like I do about the same amount of prep for both and spend the same amount of time thinking about both. So yeah, I'm very grateful to have 2 like very dedicated parties, which I know is like the hardest part of D&D is to like get 6 adults in a room or on Discord or whatever for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky to have 2 groups who like want to play twice a month, every month. So
That's rare, and that's awesome. That's like that
Yeah,
is
I'm
definitely I always say the highest challenge rating across any edition is scheduling. It's like that is always the most difficult part of a D&D game, is trying to get however many adults in the same room at the same time, or just at whatever meeting place at the same time.
Yeah,
so it's awesome.
It's nice now because we're kind of in a groove where like everybody knows we play twice a month, so everybody always makes time for it. But getting over that, like I feel like most campaigns die within like 5 sessions because of scheduling issues. And if you can get over that hump, and if you get to 10, 15, 20 sessions and everybody's still like keyed into the game and engaged and they like their characters, then you can go pretty deep with it. So I plan on playing both of these campaigns like all the way through to level. One of my groups is level 11, 12, 11, I think 11, and the other group is level 8. But I plan to play them both through to level 20 if they'll play that long, if they'll stick with me for that long. So we got a ways to go.
Sounds like they will.
I hope so.
We're in our current campaign, where we just did session 35 yesterday, and we've been doing that for about a year. I think it'll be a year in like 2 weeks now, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it was the end of August.
Pace is my game.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, and when you find a group that you really click with, there's like almost nothing as special as that. Like when everybody just gets it, everybody trusts each other at the table. Like there's just a certain, I mean, it might sound cheesy, but like there's like a real magic that happens when that's there.
Well, that's kind of what my journey with it has been. Is it's really like captured my imagination more than any other. You know, I'm a big gamer too, and I game with my friends and that kind of thing. But I've never quite enjoyed something as much or been engaged with something as much as I've been in D&D. Just like the collaborative storytelling aspect, and you get to flex your creative muscles and your social muscles. Like there's really, whether it's D&D or any other, like I know you can get all those things with non-D&D games as well. So it's not just specifically D&D, but like. Yeah, you get to flex muscles with tabletop RPGs that you don't often get, especially in a very digital world and stuff like that. Like this past year and a half, 2 years, however long it's been that the world has been such a mess. It was really like my like beacon of hope every week to like know that, okay, I've got a game on Thursday and like I could just focus on that, and it's a distraction from everything else that's going on. It's been really like valuable to my mental health in the last 2 years, and we're just finally starting to get back to playing in person, which has been like very like, joyous and fun again. So
That was going to be a question I asked whether it was online or not, but I'm with you on the mental health thing. Like, so Josh and I, like, we both grew up on Long Island, and but a few years ago I moved to South Carolina. It's much easier living down there, but that distance obviously makes, things like D&D challenging. But now that we have things like Discord and everything, knowing that you have that thing every week to kind of get excited about, and that's truly your own, like you say, flex your creative muscles. Like, that's, I don't know, there's nothing as open-ended and as personal as this. Like you said, like, you can get it with other video games and things like that, and there's some really great moments that can happen. But I think that what makes D&D special is just how personal it is.
Yeah, and you can talk
Yeah.
about like real things in under the lens of D&D. You could talk about real problems and real things that people are facing, provided you have a good table full of good people who are respectful and that kind of thing. It's I don't know. It's like therapy for me. Like, it's why I don't think I'll ever stop DMing. Like, maybe take breaks and stuff like that. But being a DM is so rewarding in that sense when you can like organize that and have a good time and everybody has fun and everybody's character gets a moment in the spotlight and everybody leaves feeling like they're excited for the next game. Like, that's the best feeling as a dungeon master, to be able to like orchestrate that and be the thing that your players look forward to every week. It's the best.
Well, I can easily say Josh is killing that because this cliffhanger we had last night. Spoilers. All right, if you're not caught up on Ancient Relics and Hoki Religions, I'll give you the thumbs up when I'm done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He left us off with our wounded friend in front of a white dragon about to breathe his weapon on everybody, and he's like, and that's what we're picking up next week. I was like, you jerk.
Yeah,
It's like, come on.
it's the best. Being able to just like close the book and be like, it's all right. I'll see you soon. Think about that
Actually,
for a week.
we went 10 minutes late, so you got extra.
That's
Oh
awesome.
man. Yeah, I felt a little bad for that one, but when you're doing a stream game, you gotta take the good
Actually,
moments, and use
that's
those.
right. That's right. I've ended sessions early, like 15, 20 minutes early, because I'm like, this is the perfect
Yep.
spot to just like put the cleaver down and make you think about this for a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I know this one is gonna be kind of tough because because the group's not gonna be able to get to. We play on Sundays, not gonna be able to get together on Sunday, so there's a good chance we'll go 2 weeks on
And
that.
then
And
my one group is in the middle of a big combat right now, and they're close to kind of the end of a campaign arc, and it's like a boss fight basically. And we had to the campaign or the session went long, and then I went on vacation for 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. We just got back on last week, so it's like they've been waiting like a month to resolve this like really intense combat. I was just chatting with one of my players today and being like, I've been thinking about this like every day for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it
that's
gets in your head. Evil DMs you.
honestly that's the
That's
best feeling though when you get those texts that like
Oh, it's a
whether
great
it's just
compliment. Great
yeah,
compliment.
yep, that I love that. Anytime these guys, like when we're on for like another 15 minutes or 20 minutes after we end the game, like just like talking about what happened, there's nothing like that. But, um, so there was when we were talking like earlier before we actually got on the call, we mentioned something and I was like, I want to save that for once we're on the call. So I guess short story here. When you were doing the hero book, just hero book edition, for the you finished that. You had the campaign fulfillment like stream. You gave away a hero book on stream. I think you gave away a couple actually.
Yeah, I
So
think so.
I actually won one of those, but
Nice. That's awesome.
but one of my good friends, Izzy, she I was trying to get her into the game. This was way back actually. That's so
Gotta
It was
be
just after that. It would have been like 20. It would have been
18,
just the beginning
17.
of 2028. It would have been like May 2018.
something
Yeah,
like, well,
Something like that.
yeah.
because I think that's when Izzy started playing.
And
The
so
campaign was April 2018, so it would have been right after.
so Izzy was asking for like podcast recommendations, and I knew she was like a little nerdy, and I was like selfishly I wanted more people for my D&D groups, and I've been friends with her for a long time. So I was like, oh, you should check out Critical Role. She was like, what's that? I'm like, oh, like it's just like play a game, but they're all like voice actors. Just check it out. So like, then she started getting into it and everything, and right before we were about to start her first campaign, was when you had the stream and everything. So I won the hero book, but I had already purchased the hero book. So I I asked for one that I was gonna get sent to her. It was the purple one. She didn't have any dice, so I sent you an email. I was like, hey, great stream today. Excited for everything. This is who I want the book sent to. Um, can I pay you for these dice as well? And can you just throw them in and ship them together? And you sent me an email back. You said I found it. Thanks again for participating in the live stream. Uh, order information. I'm not going to say that. I threw in a set of the matching dice as well, so they should all be set up. And you threw in like a purple dice set to give to her. That was her first dice set ever, and I think she still uses that. She's one of our players on our Sunday game, so she's still using those dice every week. I don't know if she's using the hero book because I think that was for her first character, and I think that book will just always be that character, but she's still using the dice, and that was
Oh man, that's such a great story.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Yeah, we had a lot of dice, so it was no big deal to spare one. It was weird, like ordering like bulk dice and having like 14 massive cardboard boxes that just sounded like rolling the box out like the biggest dice roll of all time. It was cool. I was like, I've never seen so many dice in one place in my life.
That's the kind of thing that I feel like it needs. I was actually just talking to my dad the other day, and like we were talking about, like I guess we went to the same car dealership, and the owner of the car dealership made him feel really special because he was buying a car for his wife, and he was just like, "Oh, this is a gift," and it was like a cheesy bow, like it wasn't anything crazy, and just put it on there, and like it was just that one little extra step that made him feel like you see me, you hear me, you get it, and like it's small. It's not even like it's a set of dice, like okay, like, but it's a gesture that just those are the kinds of stories I love to hear, and those are the kinds of creators that get me excited to meet. Like this is the first time I've ever met you, and I'm just enjoying myself so much, and it's like I don't know. It just when it's like this big connection point with something like D&D, and those are the kinds of things that just I don't know. It's just really cool. Like I can't even find the words. Like I feel like a pile of mush right now just thinking about it. That she's probably using those dice on Sunday night when we play.
Yeah, man, it's fun to be able to do that stuff, and like I think that's something that you can do as a small company that maybe you don't have the ability to do as a larger company, and especially because, that was not only was that we did the Kickstarter and that kind of thing, and I feel like it's such a great Kickstarter, is such an amazing way to launch a product because it does allow you to talk to people and I think the best as an owner of a company who makes a product, like the best people to engage with are the people who are excited, who are showing up to your live stream with 25 other people who are going to tell their friends about it and who are going to like. That's the best. Like word of mouth is the best advertising that you can't really buy, but you kind of can in a way by doing small things like that and looking out for the people who are looking out for you, people who support you. So for somebody like me, it's like that dice. I don't even remember how much those dice cost, but it wasn't very much. So it wasn't like a big thing, but the fact that you still remember that story is just so lovely. So that's why I like to do stuff like that wherever possible, just because it's people like you who are the reason that my Kickstarters were such a success and they continue to sell well. It's because of word of mouth. So it's kind of like buying word of mouth in a way. I guess is the
That's just one way to look at it.
I got a bunch of DMs for asking for free stuff now.
There you go. Yeah. You see his
Wait,
Twitter's right underneath him there, so go ahead and hit him up.
if you're
Come
gonna do
find me.
that, at least wait for the next Kickstarter. Support the next Kickstarter if there is another
Right.
Kickstarter,
I was gonna
and then
ask, yeah.
ask for stuff. And
Yeah.
speaking of which, obviously, if you have stuff going on in secret that you're not ready to talk about, don't feel any obligation to talk about it. But
Oh no.
do you have any plans for stuff coming up in the future?
I do have a new project that I'm working on. It's not a big secret or anything like that. I just don't have too much to share or to show off yet. But basically, I am working on another version of the book, another version of Hero Book. I've always wanted to do kind of a deluxe edition or like a premium edition that's a little bit nicer. It's maybe leather bound. It's maybe customizable in the way that the original books aren't. And so, yeah, I've been working for a couple of months with my printer and with actually a local leather worker here in Vancouver. And we've been making prototypes of the like cover wrap. So the idea behind it is that I want to offer a hero book that is first of all just like beautiful and nice to have, like the first book, but that is customizable. So one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I got from people from the first one wasn't necessarily negative, but people saying, hey, I love your book. It's great. You know, it helped me create my character, but like, okay, I'm playing a bard. I don't really need the rules for the wizard and the rogue and the ranger, and I don't really need the rules for the class or the races that I'm not playing. So, you know, hey, can I get a hero book that has just what I need and none of the other stuff? And the answer to that with the first book was no, just because of printing limitations. As soon as you start printing different configurations of books, the price per book goes way up, and keeping the cost low was really big. But I think I want to try to find a way to do this that is affordable for the end customer, but still allows you to customize it. So we've been working on a couple of different prototypes of like leather notebook covers that will encompass multiple smaller notebooks. So instead of having one book that's got everything in it, it's a cover that really nicely puts together, you know, 3, maybe 32 or 64 page notebooks. And those smaller notebooks can be a lot more specific. So we can just get the Bard one, or just get the one with the GM tables in it, or just get one that is blank notes, or throw in any other A5 notebook. You know, if you just have some Rhodian notebooks or whatever, and you want to throw those in there for notes, you don't have to buy our special one. That's kind of
I
the
love that.
idea. Yeah, that's kind of the idea behind it. So the thing that we've been not struggling with, but working to figure out is that binding system. How do you hold them all together in there? There's a couple of methods out there, and like there's a really great company called the Rook and the Raven that you might be familiar with that makes like disc bound books, which are like these kind of circular disc things that you can clip stuff into. So there's a couple other people out there that are doing it, but I've been trying to figure out a way to do it a little bit differently. So that's kind of where we're at on that. I don't have too much I don't have a prototype or anything like that to show off yet, but the idea being that you buy your cover, and then there might be 15 different books that you can choose from, and you can get these 2 books or these 3 books and kind of build a custom hero book that has just the stuff that you need in it and none of the stuff that you don't.
Yeah,
That's kind of awesome. That's
that really is.
So we'll see. I definitely will do a Kickstarter for that again once we get to that point. I think we've got a system that works. We're actually just waiting for some parts right now that we've ordered to like little clips basically that they kind of hold the books in. So we're going to do another couple of rounds of prototypes, but I should have something to share hopefully pretty soon, and then maybe later this year or early next year, depending on how long the prototype process takes. We'll definitely go back to Kickstarter because it was so good to us the first couple of times. So yeah, stay tuned. Obviously, I'll be posting on social media and on our website, materialcomponents.co, with any info as soon as it's ready to share.
yeah, and we'll definitely be sharing that.
Yep.
As soon as we hear more about it, because
Absolutely.
I mean I love the first 2 products. I think that is fair. There's a lot of information in the just the regular player hero book, and I would love to have a ranger book. That's my go-to.
Well,
I'm
yeah. I was gonna say, if ever you want to get
cool things
Josh.
too, because you can kind of make it look rangery. You can change the design to be kind of ranger specific, which we did a little bit with like the different covers of the first book, and you can kind of pick the one that works. I think you can take it a step further with the individual class books.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna end up buying at least 2 of those if there's individual class books.
Let me guess,
Well,
Ranger and Fighter.
Probably
the other nice
Ranger and
part
Fighter,
too
yeah.
is, yeah, and then you can use it for multiple campaigns too. You know, if you've got two, you don't have to buy a separate cover for each one. You can just, oh, I'm playing this campaign, my fighter tonight. I'll swap out the Ranger book for the fighter book, which I think is awesome. And like anything that reduces like waste and increases reusability, I'm all about. So
Yeah, I agree. It's it also there's just something incredibly personal about your own character, and if it has, it's almost like it's setting the tone for you, and you're going to the table. You know, whether you're playing online or you're playing at a table, whatever it may be, just helps you get in the mindset. Like even just like we were on our starting soon screen last night, and I'm just like, all right, I gotta start thinking like Vale again. Hold on, let me get in the frame of mind and make sure I'm
yeah.
there. And I feel like you know, even just something physical to hold like that, you know, that would really do that.
Oh.
Especially you see, you know, like he's an archer, so like if I had something with a bow or whatever, like that would be really cool to just I don't know, like a point of contact.
Absolutely. Well, and in a game that is, you know, your character is, you know, obviously you play it out at the table, but your character kind of is your character sheet. Like that's kind of where they live. So it's kind of like your character's like house almost, or like, you know, it's like it's part of them. And I love the idea. I haven't gotten to do it yet because I haven't played any campaigns as a player for long enough to be able to. But to sort of have, you know, you finish your campaign and you're like, okay, like this is it. This is my memory of the campaign, and you can put it up on the shelf, and it kind of always serves as like an artifact almost of like this is my character. You get all your notes about all the fun stuff that you did, and like
Yep.
it kind of becomes, or it like almost the physical object almost melds with the character and becomes the character in a way, which I think is really neat.
I love the way that you said that, where the book is kind of like the home. It's the house of the character.
Yeah.
That's great. And also the hero book
Where
that
they
you
live.
just picked up. That's
Yes.
that's the one that I got. I love that
Nice.
cover. It's
The garnet red, yes, kind of almost like Roman is kind of what I was going for with the like the laurel and the shield and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So was the
yeah,
idea.
I love that one. That one, and then was there navy as well?
Yes, there was a navy blue
Yeah,
one.
that one and the navy are my two
And when I was
favorites.
researching.
Right now, for whatever reason, the only one I have on me is the GM
Yeah,
edition. I guess because
the
I
one
haven't
that
been a
doesn't
player.
photograph well.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to see there. You got to catch it in with the light, and there you can see the design.
That
there.
is like the really cool part about this, though, is the hero book GM edition is like, yeah. I mean, if I show it on stream, you can't really tell the details all that well. But like when you look at it, you got to look at it a certain angle, and there's all this like this detail here with the lines coming off the top, the D20s on it, the obviously the eye in the middle and everything. I don't know. It feels like some sort of tome that your character would find, and it would be a big thing. And I think that's really cool to
I know.
have for something that
That's
represents a
kind of what I was
campaign.
going for. Yeah, and then it's like I don't know. It's kind of like secretive
Yep.
almost, which is like I feel like a good DM. Like there's like a bit of a. It's like the the man behind the curtain a little bit
Mhm.
when you're DMing, or if you're doing a good job anyway. So I kind of like that it's like from a distance or whatever, it just kind of looks like a black book, and then when you like your campaign, when you look closer, you're like, oh, there's a lot of detail here that I never saw before.
Yep. Yeah, I thought
Well,
that
I'm
was
glad
very
you like
cool.
it. It was a bit of a swing. I wasn't really sure. I was really excited about this cover when we first did it because we did the same. It's kind of hard to tell on the other covers because we used an accent color, but we used the same effect on these. You know, if you hold them up to the light, the laminated parts have a coating on, or the yellow parts, actually the gold parts have like a coating on them. So it is technically the exact same technique, but we just went black on black. And it was just a solid black cover, and there was only varnish instead of a sort of under color. And yeah, I wasn't sure if people would like it. I didn't think that people would be as psyched about it as I am, but and I definitely got some feedback of people that were like, I don't really like the design, but largely it's been positive, which I'm really happy to hear because I thought it was really kind of cool and subtle. Really hard to take pictures of though, to like
Yeah.
share with people on the Kickstarter campaign and stuff as it was coming out. You have to like play around with your lamp and get it like at a specific angle. So that was, if I could go back and do it again, I might have done it slightly differently just for like marketing purposes. It's kind of hard to take pictures of. But I really like how it turned out.
Nice. So is there anything else that that you want to like shout out? while you're here?
Yeah.
Do you like? I know you have a YouTube for material components. You ever do anything
Do
on there?
I wish I had like something real to plug. No, I do have a YouTube channel, but right now it's just my Kickstarter videos.
Or? Okay.
But I would like to do some more actually. I get a lot of traffic from YouTube, like people who find those videos and kind of make their way to my website from that. So I'd like to do more video content in the future because I haven't really done any. It's not really my forte, so I gotta find somebody who's maybe we can we can talk about it.
Yeah, if there's anything we could
But,
help with, we're always happy to. So
yeah, but no, I mean, we have all the hero books for sale at our website, which is materialcomponents.co. Yeah, you can get the player's hero book or the hero book GM there, and we've got all of our accessories, our pens and dice and all that good stuff available there as well. And then yeah, we're on Twitter at MaterialCom and Instagram Material Components Co. So come check us out, give us a follow if you're interested in that new hero book. Then they will go there first. We also have a Discord channel, so our Discord server, so you can find that on our website. And if you have any questions or anything like that, any feedback, any ideas for the new hero book that you'd like to see, I love hearing that stuff. So drop into the Discord or shoot me a message on Twitter.
awesome. Jake, you have any other questions?
No, I was just about to ask where he can be found, and he did it. And then he said it.
Slate, give it a slate.
Yep.
Can we get that lower third right there?
Yeah, exactly.
And also, if you end up watching this on our YouTube, obviously his Twitter handle is going to be right under his picture here, but we'll also have all of his links in the description, links to the website, links to Instagram, Twitter, Discord as well, all that fun stuff. So you'll be able to check out all the cool things and find out all the fun stuff Sean's got going on. Thanks for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, you heard him. You know where you could find him. It's a really cool product, honestly. It has my stamp of approval. I know if you remember Nooch also has one that he liked a lot. Izzy, obviously, you heard before, she has one which she likes a lot. So a lot of us here use it. Maybe Jake is next. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure if I need a bard or wizard cover for whatever you're doing, Dash is always the ranger or the fighter.
Yep.
I'm the wizard or the bard.
So everybody, thanks for hanging out. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and comment, subscribe, all that. And if you have any questions for us or any questions for Sean here, just comment them or find us on social networks, and we'll be happy to answer those. So we'll see you on the next one, and everybody just be kind to each other, stay safe, and definitely check out Material Components, because there's some cool stuff already out there and some even cooler stuff coming soon.